and let's give it another run. Still doesn't have a team applied. Let's see what happened. Okay, so what we need to do, the reason nothing was working is that we need to actually assign a lot of our classes within the game mode. So let's do that really quick. So first off, find your world settings. It should be over here. If you don't see it here, I believe you can go up over into here, find world settings and click it. It should reappear. Once again, if you ever get to a point where you're not seeing something, and I didn't mention it, just Google it. There will be an answer to say, hey, if the screen disappears, here's how you get it back. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this, we're going to move it over, and I just want to do that so that way you can still see me talking to you because that's important. I'm kidding. But it will allow you to still be able to see the screen, and it'll just look a little different. You obviously don't have to do that. So with the game mode override, we have the BP third-person game mode. And if you remember, I said that we couldn't use that because it comes from game mode base. So what we want to do is get our capture the flag game mode, and we're going to pop it in there. Okay, then it's going to start using our game mode, and you notice some of the stuff changed. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set these default values. Now the cool thing is I believe if we set it in world settings, it should actually set it in the class as well. We'll verify to double check, but let's go ahead and set this stuff up. So get your third person character, set that as your pawn. Your HUD, we're going to leave it. We're going to make our own widgets. For the player controller, I don't think we've done that yet. Did we do that? Hang on. Okay, we haven't. So let's just go ahead and throw a player controller in there. Player controller, and we'll say capture flag player controller. All right, for our game state. Now here, it's really important that you, when you have a game mode of the multiplayer type that we talked about, you also have a game state. If you ever get into a position where the character cannot move at all, it's probably because you have a mismatched game mode game state, one from game mode base and a game state that's just from game state or something like that. So let's go ahead and hook that up. So let's see, controller, game state, capture flag, game state. There we go. And just click that little arrow and it'll go over player state. We want the capture flag player state. Boom. Okay, let's verify that our game mode actually changed. So the game mode was the thing we were just changing, only we were doing it through that outliner, the world settings outliner. So game session we're not messing with. Capture flag, game state correct. Capture flag, HUD, third person, spectator. That's for replays. Okay, cool. It looks like we have everything there. So let's try one more time. Cross our fingers. Save it. Go into it. Okay, so we still don't have a team, so let's go in there and continue to debug. Okay, and I just identified the issue. So what we were doing, we weren't actually granting any progress. So let's click on that right there. And this, I told you this before, it was one of the things that I always do. I make a variable, but I don't give it any value. So let's give that a value of 5. Progress granted per player. Save that. Let's try it again. Still not. Okay, and if we look over here, I think the second issue, you can see that I was adding 0 progress to 0 progress. So we just need to bring out the result here and add it. So progress minus or progress plus. And there we go. Now we're getting some progress. Okay, we're topped out at 100. Let's try adding the other player in. I'm going to add in 2 players. Okay, so the server is going to go over. Server player. Going to make some progress. I'm going to switch over to the client player. Okay. Now we've stopped him from making any progress. We're going to allow him to get a little bit more. Okay. He's got 75. We're in there. We're impeding him getting any more progress. Now the server's going to back out. His score is getting reduced now as the client takes over the point. And now, as you saw it hit 0, it started ascending as he makes his progress. Note that the team also changed. Okay, let's try one more time, just to double check. Great. Now, as you saw, that was going up in 5s. Oh, okay, that's just a warning for login credentials. That's fine. Those were going up in increments of 5 because we had 1 player each. Let's try having multiple players. So this will get a little bit confusing because we don't have team markers, team designations on anybody yet, but let's give it a shot. Maybe we'll try 3. See if we can get away with that. So we'll have 2 on one team, 1 on another. So incrementing by 5s. Okay, add another guy. Okay, so he was apparently on the other team. Let's see what happens when we add the third guy. Okay, so the opposing team 2 has 2 players and is taking over. So let's find out who the other guy is. So we got this. Okay, that wasn't it. Pull him out. 75, 85, 95. Cool, it's working. You see how it's going up by, it was going up by levels of 10 was because there were 2 people on there and it was doubling the capture progress. So that's pretty cool. That all seems to be working. And then when we had when we had an abundance of characters on there, or just one more than the other person, it was still only giving them 5, which is, so far this is right. So let's recap what we had to do to fix the capture point to get everything working. Okay, so my first thing that I thought was the issue was I thought it was this less than equal to node. I originally had it less than 0. I don't think that was the issue. I think it was simply this right here. I was basically I wasn't adding anything. I was adding 0 to 0 because I had both of these nodes the same. So that, I think that will fix the issue. So let me just try and take this down to less than 0. Tidy it up a bit. Oh, too many people too close together. Hang on. Yep, that was it. Okay, so these guys are on different teams. And we're going to color these guys so we know who's on what team. Okay, and we should start going up by 5. See? And it's only doing 5 and not 10 because there's another player there. That's excellent. Great. Okay, so let's recap a few of the issues that we experienced and what our solutions were. So in the capture point was where all the issues were. First off, that our progress granted was at 0, so we made that at 5. You know, you can make it whatever you want, below 100. That'll be per player. We'll give you progress. If it's 0, obviously the player count times the 0 will be a 0, and you won't get any progress. That was problem 1. We thought maybe, or I thought that it might have been the less than equal to, but that turns out that really wasn't the issue. It was the logic over here, basically, where we're adding 0 progress. We were adding 0 progress to ourselves, so we fixed out that logic. So when you're all said and done, this is how this should work. And then finally, we didn't have the proper mode set. We didn't have our game mode set up or anything like that. So we got all that set. We're all squared away. So let's fix what we had to do to make this test possible, which was in the game state. If you remember, we had a bool that we disabled logic for. So let's go make sure that we have that back. Okay, so it's in the game state, is game scoring. Just hook that back up. Compile. Save. And now it will no longer function because we don't have the game state logic working yet. The only remaining thing was this annoying credentials. Now, what's funny is when I ran through this tutorial, didn't have any of these login credential issues. So you only see it when you hit stop. Now I use these credentials for projects that I've worked on. I've just never seen it needed in Pi. So if you get it, let me know. That's interesting. But what you can do to make that go away is just go into your project settings, all settings, and then go into login. It might be, let's see, project settings. Oh, editor preferences. Just go into edit, editor preferences. I just saw it, but I want to credentials. Okay, and we'll just make up credentials. There might be a way to just disable all this altogether. I just thought it was so strange that it was in there. And so user ID, I don't know. I can just put in test, and then I'll put that in for each one. Test. Test. See, two. Oops. Right, it's password. Test 2. Test 2. And then we were using multiple credentials. So I would just go with as many Pi sessions as you're going to have. I think this is weird. I don't know what setting I had that triggered this off, but you might not have to do it. I only had to do it today for some reason. Maybe how I'm connected to the network or something. I don't know. Let's put one more credential in there. Test 4. And I'm just entering the same thing every single time. Let's see if the warnings go away. And we'll stop. Okay, nothing popped up. Okay, so that was it. Very strange. Yeah, don't know why that was there. Anyway, so that pretty much recaps where we're at, and then we went ahead and we already fixed in the game state the function that we undid. So the game state should be functioning properly. So now, really, all we need to do is get the game state working. After the game state, then we got to get some animation stuff and some team setting stuff so that looks right, and then we should be well on our way.